хайр
the
гэдэг бол
heart will grow. And it's the
золиослын төлөө
heart
ингээд
that needs to grow in the course of restoration,
сайн дураараа
especially when we
өөрөө
understand
золиослох гэсэн тэр
the
төсөл дээр
problem that
үнэлдэг.
we go back to the fall of man. Adam and Eve's
Бид нэр
heart didn't grow
Олдын ингээд
enough. It
зүртэл
was too
олдын үед
small.
Адамын
And that
зүртлийг
was
авах юм
the
бол түүний
cause
зүртэл нь үнэхээр
of the
жижигхэн байсан.
failure to keep the commandments. So we have to restore that. Our hearts
Тэгээ энэ бүхнийг
have
бид нэр
to
дахин сэргийлэх
grow.
хэрэгтэй юм аа.
So, how to touch your conscience?
Тэгвэл яаж анхтар
How can you
зүртгэлтэй хүрэх
touch
вэ?
your conscience?
Анхтар зүртгэлтэй хэрхэн хүрэх
I
вэ?
love what Damien had done in the very beginning, and this was in my presentation originally.
Тэгээ
Close your eyes
нүдээ аниад
and ask yourself
өөрөөсөө асуугаад
one
үз.
question. You can keep your eyes open because you have to look at the next slide.
Та ингээ одоо слайд
But
харах
if
хэрэгтэй
you're in a
нүдээ хасаж
situation
байна.
where
Then
your friends want to tempt you, to steal something,
Тэгээ
to take
дараа нь та
drugs,
ингээ өөрөө
start
бодоод тий.
smoking, join a gang, have a sexual relationship, and those temptations will come. But your parents cannot be with you 24 hours a day, especially as you get older in your teen
Эцэг
years,
эгч ингээд
adolescent
үргэлж
years.
танд 24 цагийн зугаар хамт байх
But
боломжгүй байдаг.
the heart of your parent can be with you.
Гэтэл
You
эцэгхийн
can carry
зүртгэл
your parents'
тантай
heart
хамт
with
үргэлж
you.
хамт байх
So
боломжтой
if you
байдаг.
get in a situation where you're uncertain what
Энэ
is
нөхцөл
right or what
байдал
is wrong, then you can just simply close your eyes and ask yourself one question.
Тэгээ өөрөөсөө
Here
асуу.
it
Хэрэв
is.
танд ямар нөхцөл байдал гарах юм бол шууд асуу.
Will
Өөрөөсөө асуу.
this make my parents happy?
Энэ миний хийх гэж буй энэ зүйл
If you
эцэг эхийн
ask
минь аз
yourself this
жаргалтай болох
question
уу? Эцэг
with this
эхийн баяртай байх болов уу? Гэдэг
meditation,
асуултыг өөрөөсөө асуу.
your mind will become crystal
Тэгээд
clear.
Таны энэ
Very
асуултыг өөртөө
easy.
тавих юм бол таны
If
анхаарал
you're in
зүртгэл чинь
school
маш
and you
тав
get a
тодорхой
good
байх.
report card, what's the first thing you want to do? You want to show it to your parents, not only to be proud, but to make them happy.
Аав ээжээрээ бахархуулах гэж
If you're
тэгвэл
in
аав
school and you
ээжигээ
get a bad
баярлуулах.
mark on your
Энэ
report
зүйл
card,
маань аав ээжийг минь баярлуулах уу гэдэг тэр
you
асуулт.
put it in your pocket and you go home rather slowly. Do I really have to have my parents sign this report card? I don't want to show it to them.
Би ингээ
They
оройд
will be
гэдэгтэй хариул ээж
disappointed. They
аав
will be
ээж минь баярлах
unhappy.
болов.
So this is the central point of Hyojang, your relationship with your
Ачаал
parents. And you
инэрлийн
can say
зүртгэлийн
this
хамгийн гол
very
цэг нь
clearly
болохоор
through your
энэ асуулт.
relationship to your family members.
Тэгээ
Because your other
эцэгхийгээ
family
өмнө
members are
хайрлаа
also
чинь хэр
really
байна
parental
вэ?
figures, especially your grandparents. You
Тэгээ
can
өвөө
say this
эмээхээ
to
өмнө
your
хайрлаа
teacher
чинь
in
хэр
school.
байдаг вэ?
If I don't do my homework,
Багш нарынхаа
don't
хэрвээ би
come on
ингээд
time,
гэрийн
will this
даалгавраа
make the
хийхгүй
teacher
те
happy? No.
цагтаа очихгүй
So
бол
if you try to
багш маань
make the
баярлах уу?
teacher happy, you will learn
Та
more
нар
in
багшаагаа
school.
баярлуулах юм бол
Absolutely. You will
тэр
pay
даалгавраа
attention
сайн хэрэгтэй болдог.
more. You will at least try to do what the
Ядгатаа
teacher
ингээд
asks.
хийж
And if you need
цагтаа
correction,
очихын
then you
төлөө
will
та
accept
хичээх
that
болно.
easily. In society, if you're in a job and you have
Нийгэмдээ ч
a
гэсэн та ингээ
the business world that you're in,
ажил
the most
business
important thing they're looking for these days is not smart people. I remember seeing an article. It was in the Korean newspaper. This was several years ago. I cut it out and clipped it, and I've used it. I don't have it now because I'm in Chicago and my hard drive is in Manila. But the article said people that look and interview prospective job applicants, no longer they are interested in your good grades and the nice school that you went to, because it doesn't tell them enough about you. They are interested in, are you a good person, not just are you a smart person? Because if you're very, very smart and you are in charge of the finances and you've got all of these computer skills, you could, well, take money and put it somewhere very easily. So they would have to hire someone to watch you while you do your work. They don't want to do that. They want people to self-regulate. So the interview job goes not just, my school grades and where I graduated from, but they will take the envelope that you gave them and show it, this is very good. But now let's get to the real interview. Have you ever volunteered for anything without pay? What service projects have you joined or even led or even developed on your own? These are the questions that they ask. Did you ever give blood? or donate blood to the Red Cross or any other organization? What public mind do you have? Not are you smart, but are you public-minded? Are you self-regulatory? That's what they're looking for. So in each level, you could say, okay, in the nation, if you want to make your national parents happy, Prime Minister, President, or the mayor of the city, or wherever you might live, then you become a patriot. That's what a patriot does. A patriot says, I want to make this nation the best nation in the world. And they're willing to sacrifice for that. It's not just the soldier on the battlefield who will willingly die to protect the borders of the country, but everyone needs to be a patriot. To put the nation first. And that includes the businessmen, the legislators, politicians, educators, everyone. So here, as we come to a conclusion, what is the most important question that you can ask yourself? What will make my parents the happiest? What is the one thing that I can do to make my parents the happiest? And if you get good grades, your parents will surely be happy. If you get a good job, your parents will surely be happy. Make a lot of money, your parents will surely be happy. Get fame and fortune in whatever field you choose, your parents will surely be happy. But none of those will give your parents the greatest happiness, the greatest joy in their life. It's one thing, the blessing. And I'm speaking to you as a parent. I mean, I remember when Rosia was 8 years old and we were making the offering. At that time, the prayer offering, and I just prayed. You know, I was just from my heart. I hope and pray that she will, you know, be secure, protected, raised up to be a good daughter who can receive the blessing. This is absolutely in the heart of your parents, and it's in the heart of every parent. It's in the heart of your grandparents, your teachers, the CEO. They want you to have a good family because you're a better business person in that area too. Your nation wants you to be that. Imagine this, that there was a seed, you had one seed, and that seed was put into the ground and it grew and flourished and became a beautiful tree with no fruit, no seed for the next generation. Finished. So the original seed that we want to put in the ground is, of course, our true parents, but equally important is the continuation of this lineage. So you, as second generation, when you continue this lineage, you are taking on the values, the mission of true parents. Because just one seed, the father and mother come and they plant God's lineage on earth, and then no one carries on that lineage. Wow. That's not God's ideal. So we have a responsibility that we have. It's actually a precious gift that we have. And let me share with you this verse as I conclude my workshop. Sacrifice goes hand in hand with love. The way of love flows downward. It's willing to make sacrifices. This makes everything smooth. Without sacrifice, everything is thrown out of balance. So our title, Becoming the Light of the World through Filial Heart for Heaven. This is my conclusion. When you honor your parents, you start to learn to sacrifice. Again, thank you for your time and this opportunity to be with you. I'm very honored and grateful to be here. Thank you very much.
Please give a big hand to Dr. Robert Kito again. Yes, for wonderful. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Because like you say, like, yeah, love without sacrifice, not love, right? Yeah. And if we want to make our talents happy, we need to go to best ceiling. Yes, This is all our parents' hope. So yeah, for us. Yeah, thank
Эцгийн
you so much.
эцгийн хүсэн хүлээж байгаа тэр зүйлийг хийх гэдэг бол үнээр гайхалтай байна.
And then next is a time for break. Yeah, for everybody 10 minutes. You have 10 minutes break and then you
Бүгдээрээ
come
10 minут
back
завсарлаад
later.
эргэн
Yes,
ирдэг.
can right. And you
Yes,
can go
so
to
please take a
toilet.
stretch, go to the toilet.
Thank you so much.
Маш их
And
баярлалаа.
I'm really honored and happy to be able to share with you, especially on the foundation of Dr. Kittle's presentation. I think my presentation will become much easier because Dr. Kittle already explained to you in very simple terms why we should honor our parents. And I will focus on true parents' words and put what Dr. Kittle already explained into the context of true parents' teaching. And I want to begin with that really the family is the basis of our happiness. Can you see my slide clearly? Or is something being...
It's clear?
Okay, good. You know, as young people, that's really your time is to decide what will be the goal, the purpose of your life, what direction do you want to take, what do you want to accomplish? And so that when you get older, you look back and say, I used my life here on earth in its very best way. And so True Father explains, you know, as we know, the family federation, the family is the essence or the foundation for our life, our happiness, our future. He said that family is not necessarily good just because it has a good house and good surroundings. No matter how shabby a family's house or environment may be, a good family is one that will cherish it as a haven of rest and build ties of love that endure despite all of life's challenges. There you will find the heart of parents and children who live for each other. This heart becomes the original hometown of memories and provides the motivation that directs our lives. It is the basis of our happiness. Why is it so? It is because there's a singular tie of love between parents and children. It is a linear bond of love that no one can replace or invade. There, the love of parents and brothers and sisters becomes our motivating force. Our family members are the dearest to us in our everyday lives. So really, you know, maybe some of you might think, oh, you know, my family home is very poor. My parents always sacrificed and lived for the others, for the sake of others. And maybe sometimes when you look at friends, especially if you go to a good school where rich kids are, you might think, wow, they seem to be so lucky. They are much happier or had a better surrounding. But true parents always remind us that the true happiness comes from the love that we experience at home. From the relationships we have, first of all, with our parents and with our brothers and sisters, and the memories we carry with us. You know, our lifetime, actually the time of our life that we spend at home as a child is basically 20 years, you know, and then we become adults and maybe we start going out and living, you know, in different places, studying in different places, building our own home, our own family maybe. But the memories that we create in these early years of our childhood, these are the memories we carry with us, and these are most precious and most important. You know, especially for myself, I grew up in a developed country. When I grew up in Germany already, you know, we had overcome the suffering from the Second World War, and Germany had experienced the economic miracle, you know. And then people started becoming, young people started actually rebelling against parents because they felt their parents had focused more on material development instead of really giving love and spending time with the children. And even if you felt that maybe your parents spent so much time in the mission and didn't have enough time for us, you know, we were in the pioneering age, you know, wilderness cause. And then you can make your family better based on what you have experienced, the precious experiences that you had in your home with your own family, with your own brothers and sisters. So I really want you to make this the highest goal in your life is more than just making money, more than just being successful externally, is how can I make a family of even greater happiness, of even greater love than what I had as a child, because parents always want children to be better. So if you can create even more loving families than your parents were able to do, if you become even better parents, then your parents will be so proud and so happy. Like Dr. Kittel said, to get blessed is the greatest happiness that you can give to your parents. But it's not just to get blessed and get, you know, the day you are in the white wedding gown as a sister or in the dark suit. But what comes after the blessing ceremony, how you create a beautiful, warm and loving family. And so True Father said that the family is the central place of love. Some family or some people may say that they are satisfied with their work and need nothing more, but that is not true. There may be some fulfillment there, but the workplace connects people through material things. Politics is where people pursue their rights and interests. Even in religion, people seek God in different ways from all directions. Though they may be able to find God, they will not find love. True love can be found only in the family. Someone may be successful in his company, earning vast sums of money and being recognized by many. But if he does not have a loving family, he's an unhappy man. Even if someone goes into the field of politics, becomes a member of parliament, and even the president of his nation, if he has no loving home to which he can return, he will be an unhappy man. Even if someone becomes a famous pastor and a great spiritual leader who is genuinely loved by the members under his or her wing, that love is not enough. We look for a deeper and more central place of love than that. That is the place, that place is none other than the family. So even to become a beloved leader, even a religious leader, spiritual leader, even a leader in our movement, even members love us. But without the love from our own family, our own children, our own grandchildren, our own brothers and sisters, we are not yet successful in our life. I think many times, especially early members like Dr. Kittel and myself, that was really the pioneering era. The early members, you know, we were always focusing on our mission. But as we get older and as Providence has entered a new era of settlement, that means this is now the time not to wander around in the wilderness. Now is the time to settle the family, settle the family relationships, settle the tribe around us, and create a nation centered on God and true parents, create a world, centered on God and true parents. But it all starts from the home, from our own family, where we need to be successful and victorious. And so as children, what you can do to make your family To have deeper bonds of love is to show your filial heart to your parents. Try to understand your parents. Try to support them in what is important. Actually, Dr. Kittel mentioned, you know, actually filial piety, your father had said it, is to know your father's and mother's heart. That is something you can do as a child. Try to truly understand what is important to your parents. What do they long for? What do they wish for? And how can you make them happy and help them to fulfill their dreams? And that will create you, make you even closer and closer in your artistic relationship with your parents. Because as you grow up, your parents don't only want to relate to you as a kid, as a little child. You were cute when you were very young. But as you grow up, they want you to be even a friend to you. They want you. I remember one time when I was in my daughter's house, you know, and I truly thought of her as my sister. Somebody called and I said, oh, I call my sister. And then I realized, actually, she's not my sister. She's my daughter. But when I could develop this kind of give and take with my own daughter as she had grown up, that I really felt I could share everything with her. We can understand each other just like elder and younger sister. That's the way we want to really relate to each other. And we always need to go back to what is God's original ideal of creation. When you listen to father or mother's speeches, they always start with true parents' original ideal of creation. True father said through Adam's perfection, Eve would also have attained perfection. And through Adam and Eve's perfection, God would have seen the beginning of the family centered on love. Had that happened, there's no question that from this perfected family, the tribe, people, nation, and world that could attend God would have arisen, and God, Adam and Eve, would have been at the very center of them all. With God as their center, Adam and Eve's way of life and their life course would have remained in history as the tradition by which to live together with God. In that case, their habits, customs, rituals, and way of life inevitably would have stood as traditions bound up with God's love throughout history. So whose tradition, whose habits, whose customs and rituals should we inherit? Actually, true parents, because they are the perfected Adam and Eve. They have fulfilled and completed what God wanted Adam, the original Adam and Eve, to fulfill. But since they couldn't, now through true parents, we are so lucky. We are the first, the second, the third generation of people who can inherit true parents' heart and way of life and traditions, and we can pass it on to the future generations. That is our privilege, but also our responsibility. And true parents, God is the vertical parent. He will never be apart from you for all eternity. The reason we have to attend our parents is to receive training in attending God, who is the vertical parent in the eternal world. The heavenly kingdom is the world of love. The world of love exists with the air of love. And the family is the place that trains you to adapt to that environment. True love contains the concept of giving. It does not mean that you can act as you please for yourself. If you think you can relax and be comfortable in your own home, you are wrong. It is actually a difficult path to follow. So God is our vertical true parent, but He is invisible. So how do we learn to attend God is by attending our physical parents, our parents who are with us at home. Of course, we have the true parents who teach us the traditions, but again, true parents don't live with us on a day-to-day basis. And so our parents are really the representatives of heavenly parent and true parents. And by attending our physical parents, we learn how to attend true parents and how to attend God. And we learn what it means to love. And Dr. Kittel explained it already. Actually, the concept of true love automatically includes sacrifice, but it's not something we can do automatically. You know, a newborn baby cannot sacrifice. It's not mature enough. It doesn't have the life experiences to do that. And as we grow from infancy to childhood to adolescence, becoming adult, we learn how to sacrifice more, step by step. You know, for a little child, even sharing chocolates or sharing their parents' attention is a big sacrifice. For them, it's very difficult. So these are step by step. We are learned, we are trained to live for others, to understand about other people's heart, other people's needs, other people's wants, and to respect it and serve them. And this starts from our home. You know, even this period of growth, you know, we always talk about the 3 blessings. Actually, the first blessing, to be fruitful, really means that God gave us this time period of growing towards maturity. And unfortunately, when Adam and Eve could not fulfill it, True Mother, every time she emphasizes about this period of growth, and she emphasized that she had to go through a period of growth, that God gave her that time to grow, to mature, and to prepare herself for her mission. And she even shared how much demonym, her mother was really so serious to raise up True Mother as God's daughter, so she could fulfill her responsibility. And she was so strict with our True Mother when she was still a little girl that sometimes True Mother even cried, you know, because other kids were able to play, and she was really being strictly trained. But she realized that this was a time through which she could prepare herself for her future mission. And Father himself had to go through this period of growth. You know, he always shares how young people, how you have to prepare for your life so that later as an adult, you can lead a productive life. You can make contributions to society, to the world. And we start with really making effort to make our parents happy. I think I really love this guidance. If you always think, would this make my parents happy? Would it make them proud? Is that what they expect from me? And then later you can think, is that what true parents want me to do? Is that what heavenly parents want me to do? You know, and heavenly parents' vision and hope and expectation is limitless. You know, he has so many hopes for you. So you can always grow to higher and higher levels. But true parents and heavenly parents give us the training ground to prepare ourselves. So where is the ideal training ground of love? The studio in which we are trained to build the ideal framework of true love is none other than the family. Where did your father come from? You need to think of your father as having come from heaven, from a world larger than the earth. You must treat him as though he were from heaven. At the same time, you must also remember that he has come from the world and from the nation. Besides that, he has come from a specific clan. Keep in mind how your father came to be your father. You may think the same way about your mother. Where's your mother from? You may think my mother is a representative of heaven. She is a representative of the world and of my nation. She represents my clan. That is why she was sent to my family. So let's not only think of our parents or judge or look at our parents just horizontally. It is natural when you grow up, you know, when you're very small, your parents are God. That's very easy because you're still very small, your life experience is limited. As you grow up, you also can see limitations in your parents. But often the mistake we do, and especially in the fallen world, and I'm sure as you grow up, you have interact with your friends in school and university, maybe many of them might complain about their parents. At least in my time in Germany, that was in. We said it was cool to complain about your parents once you became a teenager. But that's not heaven's view. That is not true parents' view. They want you to think more deeply. Number one, our parents represent God, heaven. But they also represent our ancestors, our nation, our clan. You know, and with it comes certain responsibilities, you know. We inherit the good points as well as also the weak points. You know, when we were doing Chanyang last time, just a few days ago, right? We had this session, and at that time when we do Chanyang, we always repent, not only for our own sins, but also sins we inherited. And you know, it's very interesting on my side. 2 times when True Father came to India, and I was responsible to arrange everything and had the really the grace to have a meal with True Parents. And 2 times Father told me, if you don't work hard, you will get sick. One time he said, if you don't lecture a lot, if you don't teach all the time, you will get sick. And 10 years later, I met Father again in the same place, and he told me, if you don't work hard, you will get sick. And I shared this with Mrs. Kim, who was my central figure at that time, and she told me and said, you and I, we always have to work hard because of our ancestors. And honestly, it always stayed in my mind, but I didn't know my ancestors. And I had always studied about Hitler and of course all the atrocities in the concentration camps, but I had never related it to my own ancestors until less than a year ago. I heard through my sister. I had known my parents and my grandparents. My mother's side had gone to Poland and took care of a big estate in Poland for a few years during the Second World War. But I never knew that this estate they had taken over had belonged to a Jewish family that was sent to a concentration camp and died there. And then suddenly it became much more personal to me. That what the Germans had done under Hitler was not just the Germans, but even my own family, my own ancestors were involved in it. And maybe that's why Father, maybe not maybe, surely Father could see that and said, I have to take responsibility. I have to work hard for the public. You know, so Father talks about our parents, they represent our clan, our nation, but they also represent the world and heaven. So I really want us to have a much deeper look and deeper sense of who our true parents are, because I'm the result, the product of my parents' love and the hope of our ancestors. And so I can help to create a new future. Because we are now in this era of settlement, of building Changaduk, of washing away and all the past mistakes. And we know that it's not done in one generation. So each one of us have a role to play. True Father said, parents are not just somewhat necessary. From the viewpoint of love, they are absolutely necessary. It is the same with children, with siblings, with a wife or husband, a spouse is absolutely necessary. The family is where people are trained in their ability to love one another. And this love is realized in the kingdom of heaven. So really, this is so important for us to learn that, you see, love is not a feeling, it's a capacity that you need to grow and develop through your own investment, through your own efforts. And God provides you the environment through, number one, through your family, to grow your ability to love others. And you know, Father says, of course, first of all, it's our parents. But then when you get blessed, it's especially your spouse. And, you know, unfortunately, many times, even our second generations are still very much influenced by the concept of romantic love from the fallen world, you know, the fairy tales, and they live happily ever after. And the movies, especially Hollywood movies, but I'm sure the movies in your own country, you love movies with a happy ending. But they usually don't show you the process to come to the happy ending. The happy ending does not end with a marriage ceremony. That's just the beginning point, or a step of a new level of love, and a new level of sacrifice, and a new level of giving that you are entering. You know, your childhood, adolescence, you know, your relationship with your parents is the foundation, the basics, to help you then enter that new level of love and sacrifice and giving with your spouse, and in the future with your children. And just like God is growing with us as we mature. Even God's heart, God's love is growing. Parents' heart and parents' love is growing with their children. And that is also with you. As you have more and more life experiences, more and more your heart will grow, and you will be able to digest difficulties. You will learn to be patient. You will learn to digest disappointment. You will learn to overcome disappointment or something that hurt you by giving more love, by being more understanding, by being more forgiving. And that's the training that God is giving you, and He's giving you the family to help you grow. Father also said the family is in the position to represent the sovereignty of the heavenly kingdom. Parents represent the sovereignty. Children represent the citizen. And material possessions represent the land of that nation. Consequently, being devoted to your parents is the same thing as being patriotic to your nation, and also leads you to fulfill the way of a saint on the world level. So in the family level, parents represent the sovereignty, the leaders, the leadership. You know, like in a country, you have the president or prime minister, you have the government, you obey them, you follow them, you know, you support them. So we learn that on a family level at home, and we later expand it in school, in our job, in our nation, and on a world level. But it starts with that vertical relationship that you honor, that you respect, you love, and you really want to support your parents, and you want them to be successful. And so the brothers and sisters, the children, we are the citizens. And then we have the third blessing, the material possessions, which represent the land, the country. You know, we don't live in the air. And so now more and more when we, you know, in especially Asia Pacific one, President Dunkley, when he talks about Chonbo, he always says we have to start with the three blessings. We have to start at home. How do I develop? First of all, the first blessing, my relationship with God, with our heavenly parent, and my mind-body unity. Then how I develop my second blessing is how to develop my relationships in our family, at home, with our environment, how to make them more heavenly. And then the third blessing, how I can become a better steward. How can I really be God's representative to love and take care of God's creation and manage our practical life. So we have to put all three blessings into order and work on them step by step. And if I become a good model and I learn to grow and to develop, then I can be an inspiration to others. To other families, other couples, and that's the beginning of Chonbo. You know, spreading the blessing that I receive from true parents, that I try to live and substantialize in my own life, then through that, that's the best way to witness to other people, to be an inspiration to them. Yeah. But Chonbo is not just something I do, a mission or a work outside, apart from my own personal life or from my own family, but it's something, it's the expansion of myself, trying to really work step by step, slowly but surely, on fulfilling the three blessings that Heavenly Parent has given to us. And we don't need to have huge steps or giant goals, but we move forward step by step, day by day, week by week, month by month, and now we are going to enter, you know, the new year. So we can reflect on what we have done in the past year, how far we have gone, where we have left, where we want to invest more, and set our goal for the next year, so that the next year can be even a better year than what we have accomplished so far. Yeah. And so we can, I think it's important that we don't have too high expectations and then get frustrated and lose hope or give up, but that we really always think of it as a process of growing, of learning, and even if there are disappointments, but then I try again, and I set myself a goal that I feel is achievable, can make me inspired, and once I reach it, I can set the next step, the next goal. So this way, we can finally reach really also the goal of our life. You know, the first one is really the process of maturing and growing individually. And the next level is the blessing, second blessing, to multiply. And as already discussed, it's not only for us to receive the blessing, but to spread the blessing, to multiply the blessing. And really, true parents said that, you know, it's actually 3 generations, the minimum to settle God's kingdom. God's ideal is the minimum is 3 generations should be blessed successfully. You know, I show the picture of True Mother, how happy she was when she was able to bless her grandsons, not only the children. You know, you have here in this picture Sanjinim, the daughter, who was successfully blessed. And I remember that first when True Mother announced the engagement of the true grandson, she said they will be the true grandsons. Oh, that time she didn't announce the engagement yet. I think she was taking recommendations of who could be a potential spouse for her grandson. And she said she wanted them to get blessed in 2023. But eventually she was able to bless them already in 2020. And she was so happy, so joyful, because True Parents family expands not only horizontally, but also vertically, through from generation to generation to generation. And the same thing is true with us. True Father told the parents, your parents, he said, you should guide your children to receive the blessing at an early age. When 3 generations have received the blessing, they can be bound together. Before you die, you need to have 3 generations blessed. This is how you can fulfill your responsibility. Just as the Israelites were connected through 3 families, Adam, Noah, and Abraham, the standard for you to be connected is 3 generations. What should you do to achieve that? You should create your own tribe based on your sons and daughters and relatives who are to fulfill the same conditions. On that foundation, you can be free and accommodating with your tribe, and they can be the same toward you. So your goal is, if you are now the 2nd generation, is to get blessed. If you are not yet blessed, and if you are already blessed, but you haven't started your family life with your spouse, then your next goal is to really start your family together, to have children, and then raise your children so they will grow up, they will be filial to our true parents and to heavenly parents, inherit true parents' traditions, and they will also look forward to getting blessed and set up their own blessed families, so that eventually you will have 3 generation families. And if 3 generations settle firmly in their love, in their vertical attendance to heavenly parents and true parents, then this blessing will go forward, and in your lineage, will continue to expand continuously. So that should be really your goal. So it's not only for you to have this kind of romantic concept of, oh, I want to feel love and be able to what my friends are doing when they are dating their boyfriend or girlfriend, then I can do it with my spouse. Don't have this kind of horizontal or self-centered concept. But I really want you to think more deeply to align with true parents and heavenly parents' hope is that 3 generations together will fulfill God's ideal. And True Father said a woman should love one man, but she should love him as a representative of all men in the world. That man represents her father, elder brother, and younger brother. A woman should think of her husband as her father, grandfather, elder brother, and younger brother. Through loving her father, her grandfather, and her elder and younger brothers, a woman becomes eligible to receive a partner. A woman should have the attitude of love for all the men in the world, and she should embrace and love her husband as a representative and fruit of all men. This shows her love for humanity. With a heart to love her husband as her father, elder brother, and younger brother, and by transcending all nations and borders, a woman can be considered a daughter of God. And the same thing is true for the brother, that you would need to look and love your wife, like your mother, your grandmother, your elder, your younger sister, even Father says as our daughter, even true parents, they had to experience this kind of deep love where husband and wife can experience all family relationships in their bond as husband and wife. For Father to feel that true mother was his daughter was very natural, because Father was much older, right? He was 23 years older. And to let her feel that she is his younger sister. I'm sure that for true mother, it was much easier to feel true father was her father and her elder brother. But they even had to experience that they were son and daughter to each other. You know how true father could feel mother was his mother? He said when he saw mother nursing the true children, at that time he could put himself into the, have the heart into the position of being the son, being nourished and being nurtured by true mother. And I'm sure at the end of his life, father told us many stories where he could really feel mother's love, cutting his nails, you know, dyeing his hair. But they had to invest to have this kind of deep love experience with each other on all levels. And even as true parents are the model for us to have these experiences towards each other, we also need to make effort. And the more you can experience that love, if you have deep love for your parents, then you can also feel that kind of love, parental love from your spouse. But if you have some gap between you and your parents, then maybe in the same way, you cannot receive your spouse's love from a parental position because you didn't resolve it with in your own home. If you have gap with your brothers and sisters, with the elders, the youngest, then I encourage you, really try to reflect which kind of relationship you want to deepen in the coming year, so that will be the best foundation for the love you can experience with your spouse. Don't think it's something completely independent. I'm not happy with my parents, I fight with my brother and sister, but with my spouse I will have eternal love. It doesn't work that way. The relationship you build in your home with your family is the foundation for you to build this amazing, unique, and deep experience with your own spouse. Okay, I have to finish very soon now. You have to be true mothers and fathers who even while racing ahead, can say to your children, if I die now, you must take this baton and keep running. I'm going this way of suffering to save the world. I must do this in order to enable a new world to emerge. That is the hope of God, the hope of true parents, and the hope of your father and mother. And that must be your hope too. I believe this unchanging hope will allow everyone to find happiness. This is why I'm going this way. At the moment of your death, you should be able to say this to your children and ask them to commit to carrying on your work. So I think that is, if from the child's position, if you can really determine and say, I want to complete what my parents were striving to attain. Maybe they couldn't fulfill it at all, but I will carry it forward. I will do what they strove to do, and I will reassure them. That is, I know from a parent's position, that is the greatest happiness, the greatest satisfaction, the deepest love you can give to your parents. That your parents, that we can make this promise. I will fulfill what you started to do, and I will help true parents to continue, help true parents to build an ideal world by taking on the Chando mission and what other mission true parents want to give me. But I want to realize your will, your dream, because this is your parents' dream, and this way you can give the greatest happiness to your parents. Thank you very much.
Okay, please give a big hand to our mother.
Participants would like to know, what advice can you give for those people who do not honor their parents because of resentment? So I will may I ask Mrs. Ursula McLachlan for this answer for this.
I think, first of all, maybe I would ask them to reflect why why they have the resentment, maybe why they were hurt by the person, what was the reason, the motivation. Did that have anything to do with them, their own attitude? It might not be just come out of the blue. And the other thing is, they need to realize that resentment really eats us up internally. Our resentment doesn't hurt anyone else as much as it hurts our own spirit. You know, we had one of the 36 couples who was one of the original lecturers. He always made us memorize Reverend Anne. Complaint and dissatisfaction is poison for your spirit body. Complaint and dissatisfaction is like the root of resentment. You know, resentment is one step higher, more serious poison. It's already gone into our body and it's very difficult to take it out. But we realize maybe that person we are resentful against, they might not even know. Maybe they are already past our life and somewhere else, but we are continuously hurting ourselves and closing off our mind towards other people and preventing, in a way, from God's love to reach us. Depending on how deep that resentment is and how widespread we how do you say, transfer the resentment to a certain person, to others who are like, let's say if the resentment is to a parent figure, we might block our relationship to anyone in a parental figure or leader's position or parent position, teacher position, you know? So we are blocking ourselves from really being able to receive God's love through this resentment. And in the worst case, it can even turn into physical cancer, for example. Because usually there is this foundation of deep resentment in our heart that then causes, or at least co-causes, maybe cancer cells to grow.
Yes, thank you so much for your answer. I hope that all of the participants who may have had this question was able to receive an answer. You may be able to reflect again on that. So thank you again.
Yes,
do you want to ask the next question?
And the next question I received from some brother or sister in here. Second question to maybe, may I invite Dr. Bokito to answer this question. The question two is how to love my sibling where we are so struggling to embrace each other. Again, how to love my sibling where we are so struggling to embrace each other. Please, Dr. Bokito, to answer this question.
How to love my siblings if they are still struggling with each other. Is that the question? Yeah. Let me touch on the first question first. I like Ursula's answer, but I would like to add something because it's so important. Resentment is an emotion. And one of the best ways to change emotions is to change your physical habit. Do something. So if you have resentment toward your parents, then do something to change it. It can be very small. Take out the garbage without being asked. Wash the dishes. You know, cook a meal for them. That may be later, but find out, pray about it, and then I think you'll get some guidance. And if it's really serious, then you need to share that with somebody else. But don't share it horizontally. Share it vertically. Find somebody that you can talk to and share it. And so that you can get some advice, someone who has experience and an elderly perspective. The second question, how do you love a sibling? I would say go back and study the story of Jacob and Esau in the Bible. It laid the foundation for Israel to be a chosen people. where, you know, Esau hated Jacob so much that he wanted to kill him. I mean, it wasn't just we couldn't get along together. It's I'm going to kill this guy. That's pretty serious. That's, you know, that's beyond just, you know, your sibling. So that it's really important. I think there were many people involved into solving the problem. Jacob's mother was there, is involved. The uncle, time was necessary sometimes. But I think the key element was Jacob never lost his love for his brother. I don't think for a moment that when he was, you know, 21 years in Haran, that he, you know, suddenly remembered his brother. Now I'd like to go back. I don't think so. I think that it was in his heart kind of the whole time, but he was patient enough to build the foundation of his own family, to build his own wealth, and, you know, build a foundation so that he could go back and offer something to his brother. So really, that's the best example of living for the sake of others that I can see, where you are willing to kind of sacrifice something that you love or need wisely. You don't know if you're going to win the heart of your brother, but it doesn't matter, because it's an unconditional giving that you want to give. You just want to give them something, and if they don't understand it or they're still negative, that's okay. And then you give again. And then you give again. And this, if you have the heart of the parent in you, and not just the heart of the sibling, but deeper in your heart is the sibling, the sibling's love, deeper is the parental love. For example, if you know, when you love your parents, that's vertical. But the sibling love has the parental love in it. So you don't treat your siblings any way that you want to. You treat your siblings really on behalf of or as your parents would, because the parental heart is within you. So the first thing you need to do is really nurture your parental heart, your vertical heart. And that will then guide you and direct you how to restore your relationship with your siblings. But don't accept stalemate. That's kind of like almost, you know, it'll never get solved. But have the heart of the parent in the sibling, which is what it should be, and then pray. You can pray for them. Surely you can pray for them, you know, and work out in that area. So those are kind of the thoughts that I have. Good question. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I do hope that they were able to gain some insights from that answer and some direction from it. Just because we are now running out of time, I think I'm going to ask one last question. So the question is, I sometimes feel that my life goal is different from my parents' expectation of me. I also have a dream to pursue. How do I prioritize it? I suppose the question is, how do I know what to prioritize? I'll open this question up to any of you if you'd like to answer.
Let Ursula take that one.
I think it's really important to share with the parents what is your hope, your vision, your direction. Also really listen to what your parents have to say and what their hope is. You know, if you just think, oh, their hope is different from my hope, and you never communicate, you cannot find a common vision. And I think it's really important. I know in terms of matching, you know, because maybe in the beginning often what happens is that what the candidate is looking for or hoping for is quite different from what the parents are looking for. But once they start really communicating and really sharing honestly and deeply and the reasons for why they think like that, then eventually they can come to a common vision. And especially if prayer is involved and guidance, and that can be the same way can be done for maybe for the job, for the future career, for where to live, how to live, what to do. You know, the key is really honest and open communication and listening to each other, trying to understand each other's viewpoint, rather than insisting that I want my viewpoint to get through. But if both sides try to find a common viewpoint based on God and through parents, I think it usually works. And it might be something different from what parents and children thought in the beginning. It might be something new and something better.
Absolutely, I do think communication is key, and sometimes it can be surprisingly difficult. The parents and children might think that they're doing it well, but in fact, they might actually be lacking in that aspect. So thank you again for your guidance. Dr. Kitto, would you like to add any final remarks or any final words?
Yeah, thank you, Ursula, for your motherly heart and the advice that you're giving. But I think the parent and the child, there may be differences externally in terms of career, but I think if you look at it internally in terms of successful marriage and a happy, life, raising children well, the things that are the most important, I doubt there's a difference. I want to raise my children well. No, my parents want me to do it poorly. You can't imagine that. Yeah, it won't happen like that. So I think the difference is kind of the focus or the perspective. And the external things are not unimportant, but they're not the most important. And again, I think Ursula said the right thing, dialogue and communication. And your parents want you to be happy. There's no doubt in my mind. And that the root of your happiness will be not in the job, the career, the money that you make. Those are important, but they're secondary. Will be the good family that you raise. So I think there's probably more common base than is often recognized, and people look at differences rather than commonalities. And finding the commonality then allows more for communication. Otherwise, you're kind of rigid. Well, this is what I said, and this is what they said. And you find that common base, then you can start communication more easily. Thank you.
Thank you again so much to both of our speakers and to all of the questions.
College, and I started my journey in our church as a newfound life. So that ends my testimony last year. And then after that one, you see me doing my best inside the church. How I became missionary in New Zealand, how I was once active in Tonging Mudo and became a member of the demonstration team, and how I break through in UPA, and also right now becoming the president of IAYSP here in Heavenly Asia Pacific too, as well as the vice president. So fast paced, those were my life. But apart from this one, I would want to right now highlight my life as a son. In last year's testimony, I highlight my life as a public person. I highlight my life as a leader, as a youth leader who break through in our church. But this year, I'll be telling you my life as a son. So when I was young, as I said, my mom is a single mother from riches to rag. There was a time in high school that we became poorest of the poor, and my mom need to wash the clothes of outside people just to receive 200 pesos. And that was like 200 pesos, $5, just to receive $5 in a day, so we can meet ends in our life. We can eat, and that's what we spend for eating. That's what we spend for my study and everything. So with this, I left my mom, and then I needed to study in IPLC, live in dormitory. And from there, I had a mission. And it was in August 2014 that my mom went to the spirit world. It was the time that I was in Korea. My mom died because of breast cancer. And I remember those moments because for some reason, spirit world is telling me right at that time that my mom is about to go to the spirit world. My mom is about to die. So I purchased my ticket this day, and then I told my my sister that I will go home after 3 days. I have already ticket. Please tell mom I will go home. And so when my mom heard this news, about 3 a.m. she passed away. So and the next day when I told that night, when I had a conversation with my sister, my mom told my sister that at last my youngest can go home. And after she uttered those words, she went to the spirit world. During that time, I became a staff in a like Chonilguk workshop, I think, for the leaders. And then the next morning I went out. That's the first news I heard from my cousin that my mom went to the spirit world already. You know, those time that it was breakfast time, I was really out of my mind. I remember getting my plate. I remember getting rice and bayan, but I did not get any spoon and fork or chopstick. And calmly, I told myself, my mom died first. So calm. Second, my mom died. And then third, my mom died. So I reported it to UPA. I told UPA, this is the second class cadet Ronnie Sudusta. My mom died. And then after that one, the tears kept on falling after I reported to UPA. And I remember that morning, I needed to wipe my tears because I needed to guide many Chonilguk leaders, national leaders. I wiped my tears and I smiled. To your left side is this one. To your right side is this one. Back on the break time, I would weep that time. And it's a greatest regret for me because it's a greatest regret for me because when I learned the principle, when I learned about true parents, that's the only time I felt so alive. That's the only time that I felt the importance of having your mom with you. When I spent around 4 years, 5 years away from my mom, that was the time that I saw the sacrifice that my mom did for us. It was the time that I came to realize how it is painful for my mom to wash the clothes of other people just to have money so she can feed us. It was the time that I see how my mom loved us. Because you know what, when we are living in the same roof, but we never say I love you to each other. We never share our problem to each other. We are just shouting and fighting each other. That's how our relationship is. But behind that, I came to realize, God, I love my mom and my mom loved me. It was then when I was in the church when I realized that one. But you know, I am a first generation, so I gave my time sacrificing for the providence. And so when my mom went to the spirit world, my initial reaction was that, why you did not wait for me? My God, just 3 days. Why you did not give me opportunity to say sorry? Why you did not give me opportunity? Why you did not blame me for becoming unfilial to you like this kind of one? So after 3 days, I went home and I can see my mom inside the coffin. And no time to say sorry. No time to tell her how much I love her. No opportunity to hug her physically. And it's really painful. I remember after that one, for a period of time, I was always haunted in my dream that I had a dream with my mom and I am saying sorry. Around 3 a.m. in the morning, there was time I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would shout, Mom, Nanay, Mom, like that. And I think that is the greatest regret of my life, the greatest failure of my life, that I could not reciprocate the love of my mom. You know, when I was a missionary, my mom would always tell me that, maybe you can treat me in Jollibee. If there's an opportunity, let's eat together in Jollibee. Jollibee is a famous fast food chain in the Philippines. And it's my greatest regret that no matter how much you can make money right now, how big of your money right now, you cannot bring your mom inside Jollibee. And so painful for me, that one. And I am so foolish, spending 18 years of my life hating my mom, blaming my mom, why we cannot have a good life, why I cannot grow up with my dad just like others who have dad, who have father. Why do I need to feel and experience those hardships? And so for those of you who is experiencing the same thing, if you are hating your mom right now, your dad right now, if you are hating your church leader or your parental figure, I'm telling you, you are wasting your time. And I would once again to share to you this beautiful video about blaming others. I played it last year, but I think I can play it this year as well. Let's watch this one.
You ain't gonna
believe this. Well, you used to fit right here. I'd hold you up and say to your mother, this kid's gonna be the best kid in the world. This kid's gonna be somebody better than anybody ever knew. And you grew up good and wonderful. It was great just watching you every day. It was like a privilege. Then the time come for you to be your own man and take on the world, and you did. But somewhere along the line, you changed. You stopped being you. You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. I'm always gonna love you no matter what. No matter what happens. You're my son, you're my blood. You're the best thing in my life. But until you start believing in yourself, you ain't gonna have a life. Don't forget to visit your mother.
Aju. So after watching this video, you know what I realized? 18 years of my life. Yeah, you know what I realized? 18 years of my life, perhaps 20 years of my life hating my mom. Those are the times that I was a big coward. I blame my mom. Because of you, I cannot fulfill my dream. I cannot become successful of life because of you, because of you, because of you. But it takes for me to learn true parents principle. It takes for me to learn who true parents is, the love of true parents, and also the love of brothers and sisters in the church, the community in the church, to make me realize how big of a coward I am. So I cannot blame you if you will hate your mom or your dad right now, but we should be willing to take the hits and keep moving forward. We should be willing to courage up and be victorious in our own way and not pointing fingers to people that we are not successful because of them. And after this one, you know what I realized? My real enemy is not my mom. My real enemy is Satan, telling me to hate my mom, telling me to hate my dad. It has, maybe why do I need 20 years to realize this one? My God, why do I need to live in hate? Why do I need to live blaming other people? And you know what they said? I found this quote: you rebel against your parents until you become them. One day you will look in the mirror and you see your father's face just like you. And I'm telling this to you, my dear younger brothers and sisters. The real enemy is not our parents. The real enemy is not your brother, not your sister, not your Abel, not your church figure, not your parental figure. The real enemy is Satan. It's too late for me to realize this one. So I hope you can all become a greater person than me, a greater son, a greater daughter than me. You know what my greatest dream is? To become a good father. But I never had one. So that is also my greatest fear in life. I do not know if you read the book Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. I could really resonate to this one. Resonate to Harry Potter. Harry Potter says to his son, I know, but the thing that scares me most, Albus Severus Potter, is being a dad to you. Because I am operating without wires here. Most people at least have a dad to base themselves on and either try to be or try not to be. I've got nothing or very little. So I'm learning, okay? And I'm going to try with everything I've got to be a good dad for you. Many of our second generation, they live far away from their parents because their parents is always missionary. First generation pioneer who had to do mission away from their family. And in my case, I'm telling this to my daughter. I would caught up myself telling my daughter, I do not know how to become dad. I never had one. But I will do my best to become better one with the things that I've learned from the principal. So I may not be a perfect dad to my daughter, but I am trying my best. That one. And I shared this one during my Anshil message in the Philippines about the time left to you. This is my last video that I will share to every one of you this afternoon. Let's watch this.
이런 상태라면 1년 3개월 정도밖에 남지 않았습니다.
Sorry, just to give background on this one, there are like few people take a survey in Korea, and then they answer the survey how much time you spend away from your family, how much time you spend together with your peers, with your friends, away from your mom, your dad, your son, and your daughter, how much time you are spending reading books or watching TV away from your parents. That's if you take all of that one, and that's the time left to you. So let's watch this.
이런 상태라면 1년 3개월 정도밖에 남지 않았습니다. 이거 아직 뭐 해야 될 게 많은데 이게 이제 다 물거품이 되는가.
Ингээд өөрсдөө чинь амьдралд хэр удаан хугацаа үлдсэн гэж бодож байсан уу? Өөрөө тань цаг хугацаа үлдсэн болов.
요즘 많이 아프시죠? 검사 결과가 좀 나왔는데 네. 생각보다는 조금 좋지 않게 나왔습니다. 좀 이런 말씀드리기 좀 뭐하지만 이런 상태면 한 9개월 정도 나오실 것 같습니다.
뭐가요?
뭐가 잘못 나온 건데요? 6개월 정도밖에 남지 않았습니다.
네? 뭐가요?
결과서를 좀 드릴 테니까 차근차근 보고 계시면 제가 다 갔다 와서 다시 자세히 설명을 드리겠습니다.
이게 실제로 나한테 남은 게 정말 이 기간이 맞구나.
아버지 돌아가셨을 때 이제 어머니한테 잘하자. 그때 당시에는 뭐 보약도 져가지고 어머니 드리고 그랬는데 시간이 지날수록 또 그게 무뎌지더라고요, 감각이.
출산하고 6개월 쉬고 이제 출근한 지 한 서너 달 됐거든요. 계속 같이 하루 종일이라도 같이 있고 싶고 많이 사랑한다고 하고 싶고.
서울 올라와서 공부한다고 몇 년 보내고 뭐 한다고 몇 년 보내고 이러다 보니까 지금 나이는 찼는데 뭐 효도라고 할 만한 거는 별로 한 게 없는.
이렇게 주위에 가족도 못 챙기면서까지 이렇게 살아왔나 하는 생각이.
경숙이와 함께 아프지 않게 오순도순 행복하게 잘 살아갔으면.
김이나 엄마가 앞으로도 많이 사랑할 테니까 우리 행복하게 오래도 잘 살자.
지금까지 한 번도 어머니 앞에서 못 해봤다고 말했는데 어머니 정말 사랑합니다.
최대한 자주 찾아뵙도록 노력할게요. 엄마 아빠 사랑합니다.
Ju. So the first lesson I shared to you is about rebellious nature, about our rebellious nature. The next point I would want to tell you is about the time. Based on the video, based on my experience, life tell me it's too late for me to realize many things. And I hope that you take your time right now to have a quality time with your parents. And just for this time, even just for this time, do not use the word next. Maybe next time I will call my mom or my dad. Please take this time. The last conversation, phone conversation I have, this is the last time I heard my mom's voice. When I was in Korea, in front of the dormitory, there is a lot there. That's the moment, my last conversation with my mom. And you know what my mom told me? The last message of my mom to me is this one. My mom told me, what I wish for you, Nak, ang gusto ko talaga, pangarap ko, what I wish for you is to fulfill your dream and be happy. At the end of my mother's life, I came to realize that parents, at that time, my mom is not asking for big money, not asking for cars, not asking for big houses, not asking for big bank accounts. My mom's last wish for me is to fulfill my dream and be happy. And so I would like to take this time to say thank you to Dr. Kitel, Sir Julius, President Hori, and all leaders, because this is maybe the greatest yojong I can give to my mom. Right now, I work inside our church. I keep on telling my mom, I am living my dream. I am happy with my life. No one is forcing me to go this way. So at least when I tell that to my mom, I hope my mom can feel that I can offer Hyojong.
ийм цагаар дамжуулаад би өөрийгөө ашиглаж
maybe not in the physical world, but now that she is in the spiritual world, then I can become a filial son.
Тэгээ магадгүй тэр сүнсээр байгаад намайг ашиглах уу гэж харж байгаа хаа.
So I'm using my ability, my talent, so that I can prevent people from, committing the same mistake that I did while my mom is here on earth. And I realized that the biggest yojok I can offer my mom is to achieve fundamental and basic victory in life. Where I can tend to my basic needs and I can receive the blessing that I can promise committing myself not to divorce my wife, to become a better dad, to forgive my dad, and to forgive my mom. I believe that's what my mom wants me to do. And so this season, this Christmas season, my wife is pushing me to make up with the relationship with my dad. And little by little, I throw those hatreds that I've been piling up all those years to my dad. I had to throw it. And I had to embrace my dad. And hopefully, little by little, we can become a good sons and good father to each other. And when after my mom died, after so many years, I searched her Facebook account. And you know what I saw in the Facebook account? The last post that she had was our picture together during my graduation in IPLC. How she is proud that I could finish university. How she is happy that at least I have a son who has a direction in life. I had a son who had a purpose in life. And I think that's what parents want. They just want us to be stable in life. To make money enough so that we can live happy with our God-centered husband, God-centered wife, and committing ourselves to build a better family, to build a good family that is centering on heavenly parents and true parents. And once again, thank you so much, everyone, for helping me fulfill the last wish of my mom. And for my last message this afternoon, I would want to quote the message of our True Mother. This is part of True Mother's letter to members. Our True Mother's letter to us. 참어머님께서 True Mother said, Woo! Today, on the occasion of True Parents' birthday, we are so happy and privileged to host this festival where you can share a meal especially prepared for you. You are true children, born with heaven's lineage through the profound tears and hearts of true parents. True Father who is in heaven, and I will always, always love you all. True parents love you all, dear second generation, dear blessed children. More than anything else, we shall never forget the heartfelt tears and sweat you have shed as you fight in the midst of great loneliness to realize heaven's will. Father and I, Father and True Mother, regret not being able to serve each and every one of you, our beloved children, a full table of warm dishes and steaming rice. Please accept our heartfelt token of love. Beloved blessed families, Father and I earnestly hope that you can become the proud sons and daughters who stand with true parents until the last moment and work energetically to realize Vision 2020 and national restoration. Lastly, True Mother shared, please remember that Father in heaven is continuously cheering and supporting us. I pray that until the day you ascend, until the day we go to the spirit world, you may all fulfill the duty of the filial heart before heavenly parent, become shining rays of hope around the world, and be filled with love and happiness always. My dear brothers and sisters, 3 things that I shared today about rebellious, about time, and also about Hyojong. And we do not know until when we have time together with True Mother here in the physical world. We do not know until when we have our time with our physical parents here in the physical world. I always use next, I'm too busy in the mission, next, mom, do not annoy me, next. But until, you know, the next is not unlimited. So please take your time in giving your love in words, in action, in heart, with your physical parents, with our heavenly parents, and with our true parents. Thank you so much, everyone. And this ends my unfilial testimony. I do not know why I called it Hyojong, but I think it's more of a unfilial testimony and my unfilial story. Please become a better son, become a better daughter than me. Thank you so much, everyone. Saranghamnida, and I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, please give a big hand to our 11 Lodi Sudustar. Thank you so much for your testimony from your deepest heart that make we know about the beginnings of love. What is? Thank you so much. And then